Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Gulf Shore City Council Work Session Meeting, June 2nd. Thank you for being here. This is the meeting where it's open discussion. Each of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight, we'll be voting on next Monday. It's your opportunity to give us your thoughts about each of these or anything else you have on your mind. So with that, we'll begin. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just a quick thing. I had a resident reach out that lives near the Windmill Ridge Road side where Gary's development is. I think that's 632 Gulf Shores Parkway. And a lot of people will enter that property. Right now, the only thing there I think is a CBD store. But they go back there and park and they want to fish there on the little lagoon, and there are gators back there, and that people are actually feeding gators back there. And that happened one time not too long ago, and a gator got in Little Lagoon right there across from Papa Rocco's, and we had to have it euthanized. And I want to make sure that as a public service announcement, if you will, for everyone here, everyone listening, you're not supposed to feed alligators because they will become accustomed to that. They will seek human contact, and that's the last thing that we need. So for what it's worth, I don't know if signage can be erected. I don't know if Gary's the property owner all the way to the water's edge there. That's where Gulf Shores Utilities has a lift station. So I don't know the appropriate department, but if someone could put their good eye on that and perhaps either investigate it or erect some signage to make sure people understand it is unlawful to feed the alligators and that you are hurting them and causing danger to yourself. That's it.
Thank you, Steve, and that is important. And so, John, I see you making notes. Department of Conservation can probably lead us in the right way to deal with that. So let's follow through on that. Toby?
Yes, sir.
Some board appointments?
Yes, sir. First one I have is Mary Wayne Gilmore being reappointed to the Beautification Board to serve a full term of 3 years ending on June 28th, 2028. Then we are appointing David Harper to the Public Education Building Authority to fill the unexpired term of Robert Malone. That term will end November 9th, 2027. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Toby. Council, any questions or comments? Anybody? Anything? Mary Wayne, thank you. I see you sitting back there. Next item up is Jenny on Gulf Pines traffic analysis update.
I have one more.
Pardon?
I have one more.
You have one more?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me, Jenny.
Sorry, Jenny. The next one I have is an appointment of election officers for the 2025 municipal election. The election is scheduled for August 26, 2025. If necessary, there's a runoff scheduled for September 23rd, 2025. Cultural Center, precinct number 48. The inspector will be Evelyn Sanders with 9 additional clerks to assist her. And at the Civic Center, precinct number 39, Jan Steiskell is going to be the chief inspector there with 10 individuals to also assist her. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Toby. Any questions from anybody? Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Jenny.
All right, I just wanted to give y'all a little update today on the traffic on the detour route and in the Gulf Pines neighborhood. So we have done some historic traffic analysis out there, and if we take a look at the bigger picture, we can analyze how the traffic flows over Highway 59, the Foley Beach Express, as well as on Canal Street from Gulf Shores to and from Orange Beach. So on the Holmes Bridge, before the toll was removed, we were seeing about just under 47,000 vehicles per day there on Highway 59. That counts both directions of traffic. And during that same time period, the Foley Beach Express was seeing about 12,000 vehicles a day before the toll, and Canal Road was seeing about 11,000 vehicles per day. So once that toll was removed, we've had a chance to count those numbers again. And what we've seen is a decrease on the Holmes Bridge. So right now we're seeing about 38,500 vehicles per day after the toll was removed. And that's about a 17% decrease in traffic on Highway 59 over the bridge. Over on the Canal Street between Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, we have also seen a decrease of about 18%. Now we're seeing about 9,000 vehicles per day after that toll has been removed. And on the Foley Beach Express, they have seen a significant increase in traffic on that bridge. So there's about a 58% increase in traffic with 19,000 vehicles per day on average over the Beach Express. So that's kind of a big picture of how people are getting to and from the island and traveling back and forth between Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. So some of our recent and ongoing events, we're in the process of improvements to the area, including building the Ped Bridge, which you can see at the top of the image here in blue. We are working on some improvements through funded through the Build grant as well as the Restore grant, and those will improve 2nd and 3rd streets as well as 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So we're looking to add some parking to some of those roadways, create a little more definition, better walkability, better traffic flow in those areas. And we hired Jacobs Engineering to perform a traffic analysis of the Gulf Pines area east of this neighborhood, east of this map right here through the neighborhood, so that we could see what was happening in that neighborhood. And that results of that are complete. So that's what I'm going to focus on in the next couple of slides. So here we have the current traffic volumes in the study area. These traffic counts were done over 2 weeks. 1 week was spring break and then the week after spring break. So what we saw is more than 90% of the traffic is using the 2nd and 3rd streets and not continuing in through the neighborhood. 10% of the overall traffic or less is in the Gulf Pines neighborhood. And that is a typical count that you'd see in a neighborhood like this. We attribute that to residents, deliveries, and that sort of thing. So on the detour route on East 2nd Street, about 60% of that volume is southbound. And on 3rd Street, 60% of that traffic is northbound. So people traveling north or over to Orange Beach are tending to use 3rd Street, and people coming from Orange Beach southbound are tending to use 2nd Street. But again, 90% of the traffic is using those 2 streets. So we did see an increase on the detour route, around 20% in traffic volumes the week after spring break versus the week of spring break. And that was all on 2nd and 3rd Street, but otherwise the 10% kind of held in that neighborhood both weeks. And we also studied the time of day on all of these traffic volumes. And what we found is there's no real rush hour out here per se. There's a small peak in the morning and afternoon rush hours, but for all intents and purposes, the traffic is pretty steady from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day of the week. So moving on to speeds in this area, we also took a look at the speeds over the same time frame. And the speeds that you see on here are the 85th percentile speed. That is, the 85th percentile is based on the theory that most drivers are reasonable and prudent and try to drive at a speed that is appropriate for the road conditions and the circumstances that they're in. And the Institute of Traffic Engineers, ITE, defines that 85th percentile speed as the highest safe speed for a road. So oftentimes that's what a road is designed at, and the speed limit is set at that speed or maybe 5 miles an hour below that speed. So what we have here is a posted speed limit of 40 miles an hour on 2nd Street and 25 miles an hour on all the other roadways in this network. So looking at that detour route, the 85th percentile speed on 2nd and 3rd is about 32 miles per hour. And the 85th percentile speed on 22nd east of 6th is 31 miles an hour. And similarly on 10th Street, it's about 29 miles per hour. So those are the streets that we saw about 5 miles over the posted speed limit. Speeding on. The 85th percentile speed on all the other streets within Gulf Pines are below the posted speed limits. So when we look at what's next, we are engaging Jacobs Engineering to give us phase 2 of their study. Will include some recommendations. Now that they've had a chance to really analyze the study and give us the data, and we have some hard data to go off of, we are going to engage them in recommending some traffic and roadway improvements. This could be horizontal improvements, think roundabouts, chicanes, things that narrow the road in certain areas, on-street parking, those type of things. They'll also look at vertical measures, speed tables, speed bumps, those types of things. And they'll look at traffic deterrence. So one-way streets, signs. They're going to really evaluate the gamut of options available and give us some recommendations on what would work best in the scenarios that we have here. We're also looking to enhance safety around the park. So we want to make sure that the park is safe and a welcoming environment for all of our families and all the park users in the area. And we don't want anyone, any pedestrians or park users interfacing with the traffic on the adjacent roadways. In addition, we are coordinating with ALDOT to lower the speed limit on East 2nd Avenue, including making the speed limit 25 miles an hour from 22nd to 24th for sure. We're coordinating with ALDOT on the speed, the rest of the corridor there. And we are proposing a citywide mobility plan in the 2026-2027 budget. This will evaluate multimodal transportation across the entire city and across all different modes of transportation. So pedestrian, bikes, scooters, golf carts, cars, all of it. So those are some things that we're working on. We are also wanting to propose allowing golf carts within this community. So this would include 2nd Street all the way over to 10th Street, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th under the bridge. So this would really open up connectivity, not only within this neighborhood, but between the west and the east side of town. So for example, if you were over on 10th, East 10th Street, you would be able to, on a golf cart, take 24th under the bridge and go all the way to the post office, the grocery store. It'll open up the ability to go to restaurants on both sides of the street. So our plan is to work internally with staff and with PD over the next couple of weeks to really finalize what this map looks like, define exactly what streets we're talking about, exactly which blocks we're talking about, and bring something back to you towards the end of the month with a recommendation to allow golf carts in these areas. Like I said, those details are still being worked out internally, but this is an idea of what we're thinking. And of course, we still have the long-term plan. We are acquiring all of the property here to create a roadway that will completely divert the road around this neighborhood. And you can see that here in the red lines. So that would be the new Canal Road alignment. We are acquiring property and we're in the process of getting all the property in place that we would need to do that. And we will continue to partner with ALDOT on funding strategies to implement this long-term bypass plan. Any questions?
Jenny, on the traffic study for Gulf Pines, what's the timeline on them getting their recommendations back to us as far as putting, local traffic only signs, speed bumps? When will we receive that information?
We're hoping to have that information in 4 to 6 weeks from them so that we can start implementing some of that. We're coordinating with them on an ongoing basis. And so if things come up, like for example, they have already recommended that we add local traffic only signs just past 3rd Street. And so we have those signs up today.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's 4 to 6 weeks is,
Right. So we're trying to be proactive and take care of things as quickly as we can, but we want to also make sure that we're doing the right things in the right order. So we are trying to make some small changes along the way. But if they have some bigger recommendations on bigger picture issues, it might take a while to get those back and implemented.
But anything we can do sooner, the better.
Absolutely.
So to be clear, our 4 next steps are, we're going to have Jacobs complete their study, and they will provide recommendations for us to consider. We're going to improve the landscaping at the park and look at creating barriers, safety barriers between the open fields and the roads. We're going to be talking to the appropriate people. I don't know if you said ALDOT or not about lowering the speed limit on 2nd Street. And then finally, the recommendation would be on the golf carts.
Yes.
So those are the 4 items that came out of this. Okay.
Yes.
Jenny, I rode through 3rd Street the other day, and there's not a 3-way stop sign in the middle of that long little stretch there between the light at 24th and
And 22nd.
22nd, I think. It's a little stretch there, but there's, what is that, 23rd, that short street that comes out of Middlesbrough? Can we not put a three-way stop there and slow that longer stretch down?
It's certainly something that we can take a look at.
It would help slow that traffic down if they knew they had to stop to get there. And
Sure.
maybe if they got an extra stop, they may not go through there. They may go another, not come that way.
Yeah, we do want to keep the traffic on Second and Third Street. We don't want them spilling over into the neighborhood. And we would want to look at that, adding that speed limit sign or that stop sign there, because sometimes adding stop signs actually creates more problems than not having them. So we need to that's definitely something we can take a look at.
It's just a
But we
little
want to
stretch,
evaluate
and
it.
I noticed people speeding up just
Sure.
slightly there. So just something to think about.
Sure.
I had a question. At the intersection of East 24th, or rather West 24th there at East Second, there used to be a significant number of traffic accidents, which was, due to probably no lights and people taking risks. Have the number of accidents, I would assume, have decreased greatly since these changes have been made? Is that true or not true? Was research done?
I believe the number is down. I don't have the exact numbers. I would need to get with PD on the exact numbers there. But we are seeing, now that we've turned that, what used to be into a three-way stop, we are seeing more compliance with traffic at
Thank
that
you.
intersection.
Thank you.
Golf carts. We've been talking about that for quite a while. Hopefully that won't take 4 to 6 weeks. We
No.
should be able to make that decision pretty quickly.
We're hoping to get that to you by the end of the month to vote on.
I think that's a good plan, the way you had it drawn out to go under the bridge there and all.
Yeah, and we really want to study the existing maps of where golf carts are allowed on the west side of town and make sure we have that connectivity under the bridge in the appropriate locations to the east side to really connect that whole stretch. I don't want to look at one neighborhood in isolation. We want to look at the bigger picture as well.
Jenny?
Yeah.
Audience, any questions, comments? Just please step to the microphone if you don't mind and introduce yourself and let us know what you think.
Good afternoon, council. Hi, my name is George Sinak. A couple questions. Whatever happened about taking 10th Street and continuing on over to Dolphin Avenue and then coming out that way?
So we looked into that, but ultimately the long range plan, if we go back to the slides. The long range plan would actually not use 10th Street. It would be even further east of 10th Street. It's that last one. So here you can see, I don't know if you can see where 10th Street's about the middle of the screen there, but the roadway would actually align further east of there and come up to Canal east of the plant that's out there. And then south, and it would come in about 20th.
It's going to take a lot longer to do that than 10th Street, continuing it south and then just coming out on Dolphin. So I'm just a little curious because I really feel bad for the neighborhood over here because it's terrible. I mean, you have people walking around like over by the brewery and you have a big mix of traffic in there. You have people in those condos that, I mean, they walk out and it's nothing but traffic there. And it's terrible. I mean, I don't know what the study says, but I can tell you it's terrible.
Right.
So
And
by
we
doing
recognize that
10
there's a
feet-
lot of different types of usage in this area. You know, there's vehicles, there's pedestrians, there's bicyclists.
Right.
And so that's as part of our multimodal transportation plan, which we're proposing, it would really evaluate some of that criteria. Where do we need to add sidewalks? Where do we need to add trails that are off of the roadways and adjacent to roadways to give us some of that capacity and provide more of that safety for especially our vulnerable users who are not in a car, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, this long-term project that you have there sounds great, but that's going to be years. By the time the property's bought, time the studies are bought and all that, versus 10th Street that runs right there by in front of the treatment plant. We're talking about a short distance to connect to Dolphin and we're done.
We actually did study that, and the soils were not conducive to that project. It was going to really create a large cost to accomplish that. So, but we did look at that. There was a proposal for that. But once the geotech came back, the soils just didn't bear out to make
But
that
the
feasible.
soils are gonna be different for the new improved one.
Well, we didn't do the geotech on that area.
Okay,
Tenth
So-
Street is really narrow too, and if you made that the way to go, there'd be a lot of issues on Tenth Street, and there's not much right of way there, and very little opportunity to change that.
sure, understand.
So, but it's still, that longer term deal is something that we're waiting, we gotta get the land swap done, and we're close to doing that. Dan Bond was telling me today that we're working with the Department of Conservation. Gotta get the properties, the federal government. We gotta get the property we gotta get that through through the state park. State park is gonna be the one that help us get that. And they're working on putting the paperwork now, and the feds are waiting on something from our state park, and we should get the right of way within this year. And then we've got opportunities to react and go from there. And we could always look at 10th again, going over and then coming back down Dolphin. That's not off the table. The long-term goal that we've been communicating with the Department of Conservation and ALDOT about for years is the one you see on that map.
I think it's a
And
great
that-
idea. Sure.
That was one that was embraced initially by ALDOT. That was their preferred route. And so that's what we've kind of put on the table. Is there modifications potentially? Do it in phases? Absolutely.
Okay.
But our goal is to get the traffic out of that subdivision as quickly as we can.
Okay,
Also, Dan's our grant guy. And as grants come available, we're always applying. And if we're lucky, we'll be able to receive a grant, but possibly help with that roadway. So,
okay. Now, the comment about the golf carts, I think is great. But, I'm curious that, the road south of Galloway, the restaurant, was, grassed in instead of being like gravelled in. I mean, right south of the Big Beach Brewery, the city went there and just quickly paved that thing, marked it, boom, and it was done. So here we have a business that could really use that parking, and it's grass now, and there's no parking signs there. I don't understand why we haven't gravelled that and made that parking, as bad as the parking is already.
So we looked at graveling that area, but we don't have the right of way there to do that. A lot of those parking places were actually encroaching on private property. So in order to keep people within the right of way, we didn't have the room to get parallel parking even in that strip. So, we worked in conjunction with police on that as well, and
I think you're thinking of a different area. We do have the right of way there, but it is a drainage area. That's the area that had we would need to go in and do some stormwater work in order for cars to be able to park there. They were really eroding into the ditch. And so it was creating issues with that bank there. But that was that area. We do have the right of way. It's just that it is going to require stormwater work, which is just more costly.
I was gonna bring that up here later in the meeting about that we really need to see if we can't gravel that and let people park there. Cause if gravel's there or grass, I would think it would drain the same. And that way it would help the businesses out there
Yeah,
to
it's-
have a little parking.
It's going to require, because it is a ditch that's active, so it's going to require being piped in order for that to be covered.
Or create flooding issues with the collection of water there.
Sure, okay. Has the city looked at maybe, again, with golf carts and so forth, has the city looked at maybe doing a parking garage that they could charge for, which would more than pay for that type of a thing? Because we're running out of room here to park, especially with this, the restaurants and so forth coming in, and stacked parking would make a lot of sense because of the footprint area.
Stay tuned for item number 6A on the agenda, and we'll talk more about doing a parking analysis.
Okay,
So yes, it's on the schedule right here, and that be part of it.
that's part of it. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, George. There's somebody over here? Yes, sir.
How you doing? David Hartline, safety concern, the new detour on, when they're going northbound and the park is on your right-hand side. You have the, basketball court. There's a water pumping station with a privacy fence around it. From the back of the basketball court to the street, there's a bad blind spot for all the people going northbound to Canal. From 22nd, could they put mobile barricades in there? They've got mobile barricades on the other side of the park for 4th Street that has no traffic. The new baseball field, you know, the new baseball at Meyer Park?
Yep.
Well, the other park on the other side, the west side, where the detour is, you've got the picnic pavilion, the parking lot, and then there's a water pumping station right at the end of 23rd, where 23rd deads into it. They talked about the three-way stop. I don't believe that'd help. But if they put one of the mobile barricades or a fence just on the other side of the sidewalk, it would stop a basketball, soccer ball, something running into the street, a dog, that the people northbound wouldn't see it till they got right to the street.
Makes a lot of sense.
Just that one blind
Certainly
spot,
take a look at that.
if it could be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes?
Particular resident, tax operator, bicycle rider that goes through that area all the time. Just a couple things on, when you come off off Canal on the 3rd and you get to the stoplight, on the east side, there's bush covering and you cannot see the traffic going the other way. So people wanting to do a right turn are kind of having to stick their nose out. I don't know if there's any way that the shrubbery could be cut back a little there, but it was something to look at.
22nd or
24th.
No, 24th.
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind the brewery.
Yep, exactly, right there. So, just something to look at. The other is just from a business operator side, need more help with, and you guys are helping us with signage. It's about to be done. But, you know, objectively from the beach, we're trying to push traffic to the Canal Road, which avoids the brewery and the Tacky Jacks and the Acme's of the world. I'm wondering if there's some more signage we could help put up there, whether it's electronic or whatever, to help. Hey, there's restaurants and stuff ahead. You know, that's a lot of business up there. So anyway, that's right.
Certainly something we can take a look at. Anybody else? Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next item we have is Financial Services Department, Anna.
Good afternoon. What you have before you is a request from the Purchasing Division to surplus property that has reached the end of life's use. If approved, we will advertise and auction this off on govdeals.com following next week's council meeting, if you vote and it is approved. Just to remind you, we're only bringing items before you now for council approval that exceed or meet the capitalization threshold, which in this case is $50,000. Therefore, our lists have gotten much shorter and we don't have to bring as much to you all for approval. The two items that we are requesting approval to auction are a 2017 Kubota tractor and a 1997 Ford F450 bucket truck. The bucket truck will be auctioned after it is completed. We're currently working on a project at the Sportsplex, so it won't be live on the auction upon approval, but as soon as that project is completed. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Anna. Well, there are folks that probably are picking up this previously because we had everything listed on it. So is there a place where you can see the other items that we're going to be surplusing that they don't have to come before the council, the smaller stuff?
I believe they will all be on govdeals.com, but I will check with certainty and make sure that we give that detail on Monday for certainty.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience, any questions, comments?
Is someone from Public Works here? Noel's not here, is he?
Noel's out.
Okay,
Noel's out.
I'll get with him later then on the.
Chief Seeley.
Good afternoon. Before you have a request for a change of the code of ordinances as it pertains to false fire alarms and elevator malfunctions. Currently, we don't have a way to make a owner or resident adhere to maintenance standards, and as a consequence, we have an elevated number of these type calls. For example, we took a sample of the 3-month period between February 1st and April 30th of this year and had 68 false fire alarms and 15 elevator entrapment calls. And there's several issues with that. Number one is obviously the safety to our crews that are responding to these. And they could have another call come out while they're on the way to something like that could be avoided. And also the frustration on the part of the residents and owners that get stuck in elevators or have to leave their rooms in the middle of the night or whatever due to a faulty alarm. The intent of this is to reduce that, obviously, and it gives us some teeth to actually enforce this. Currently, we don't have that. And it's actually, I think it's very forgiving. We've vetted this through the city attorney. We've also vetted it through several owners in the area. So we feel it's a good mix of giving us some power to do some things and also being very lenient. We have some leniency in terms of weather, also with if it's a faulty alarm, if somebody pulls a pull station like that, a malicious type thing, we don't charge the owner with that. We understand those type things. And after the fourth event on each side, we require them to get an inspection from a state certified either alarm technician or elevator technician to show that they've done their due diligence in getting these systems maintained. Because that's where we see we know weather has a big effect here. The salt air and the humidity and those type things can have a detrimental effect on both of these systems. So we understand that, but we just want to make sure they're doing their due diligence on the maintenance side of it. And this gives us the power to do that. So be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, how will that work?
In terms of,
Enforcing it?
we're going to keep track of these. Obviously, we'll have to have some spreadsheet where we keep track of, and whenever somebody has, let's say a condo has, it's in a calendar year, you get 3 free ones. So if we won't charge anything for those, and we'll have to vet out whether or not there's 4 exceptions. One is activated based upon a reasonable belief that a fire-related, it was a fire emergency existed. So if there was a fire, then it's obviously not a false alarm. Whether it was activated by an unauthorized person, like a child activating pull station, or if it was activated by lightning or electrical surge that caused physical damage to the system, or other applicable weather-related causes like humidity or salt, things like that. Not salt, that'd be more long-term, but and then we will send a fine to them or a notice after the 4th with a fine of $150 on the false alarm on the 1st or the 4th of false alarm in that year, and then it's $250 the 5th and subsequent. So we would send those fines to that individual.
Okay.
On the elevator entrapment side, there's obviously there's 3 freebies. And then on the 4th, it's $250, and on the 5th and subsequent, it's $500. Any other questions?
Any other questions, council? Audience, anybody? Questions, comments? Thank you, Chief. Planning and zoning, Scott and Andy, so.
Yes, sir. This is agenda item 6A, to authorize a parking study agreement and contract. So the Waterway Village District, the purpose of this district is to create or maintain neighborhood centers that offer and meet the daily convenience and service for the residents and the surrounding area, and create a pedestrian scaled mixed use built environment. And it's supported by the zoning ordinance. The city has recognized a need for some enhancements to the parking regulations in this area. And again, the purpose of the Waterway Village is kind of spelled out in the tagline: dine, shop, and play. And I would add work and reside also. The geographic area of the study area is about 250 acres. It's bounded to the north by 29th Avenue, to the south by 20th Avenue, to the west by West 1st Street, and to the east by East 4th Street. It wholly contains the Waterway Village zoning overlay, so it's a little bit bigger than the zoning overlay district itself. I will point out that part of the ongoing pedestrian bridge project does have some street parking and streetscape improvements. You can kind of see the typical design on the left. You see the angled parking with landscaping. That'll happen part of the ongoing project with the pedestrian bridge, which is in the middle of the study area. Also, the city is pursuing or exploring additional funding opportunities for some additional streetscape projects that will include parking in this area. The city put together an RFP and sent it out in early April. Within it, the requirements include first an analysis of the area, look at what's existing, what parking is existing, how many cars are parking, how long they're parking, how quickly they turn over. Then we've asked the consultant to then evaluate the current needs. Are they being met? Do we need more today? Also anticipate future parking needs, and we put in a 5, 10, and 20-year horizon. So it's a little less accurate the farther you get out, but we do want to look in the future. And keep in mind, not just parking, but meeting, kind of like what Jenny said earlier in her presentation, the multimodal needs, so pedestrians, bicycles, potentially golf carts. Part of this project will include stakeholder community engagement. So there'll be a kind of a steering committee internally, and then stakeholder meetings both in person and virtually, maybe like a online survey. We will be looking or seeking out stakeholder groups to include residents, property owners, business owners, elected officials, appointed officials. So just be on the lookout that we will be reaching out to folks who live, work, own property within the subject area. At the end, we will be looking forward to recommendations on how to improve the parking situation in the district. That may be recommendations to change our zoning ordinance. It may be model public-private partnerships, private-private partnerships, wayfinding and signage. So we're looking forward to a lot of recommendations as part of this project. The city received 5 proposals. I will say I think all 5 were quality. All 5 came from quality firms. We put together a score sheet that looked at different elements, and the firm that came out with the highest score was Kimley Horn. They have done work in the city of Gulf Shores before, so they're familiar with the city. The primary location of the project team would be their Mobile and their Atlanta offices. They have offices all over the country, but the people we spoke to are in Mobile and Atlanta. One of the things that kind of stood out is their robust and creative public engagement section. Again, we really want to hear that feedback from the affected stakeholders, the residents, the property owners, the business owners, and city officials. So they had a very good plan for that. The anticipated timeline is 5 to 6 months. And the budget implication is this would be a not to exceed contract of $72,625. That's lower than the original proposal. So city staff was able to lower what they proposed a little bit. And that does include some optional. So there's a chance it could be lower than that. I do want to say big thank you to Amy McKenzie. She did, I would say, the lion's share of work on this. She just was not here today, so that's why I'm here talking to you. But Amy and Jenny both did a lot of work on this. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Council, questions, comments? Sounds like exactly what Mr. George Steineck was talking about, with some strategy there to improve parking. We know we need to. We're excited about the growth potential. The pedestrian bridge is going to be, it's going to be really important as we get closer. We're through with the construction south of the bridge to Fort Morgan Road. That's done. The next step will be going from County Road 4 back all the way to the bridge. When I get to the bridge, Aldot's going to want to open up the third lane. We'll open that third lane, it's going to be a real congested opportunity to get bikes across. Aldot doesn't typically build bike paths on their roads. They don't have it on 59. They would not have them on Fort Morgan Road had we not insisted and just fussed until they put them in there, because we know that a lot of people ride bikes on Fort Morgan Road. So Aldot doesn't have anything on the bridge, didn't design anything on the bridge, and this third lane will take up, it's going to put real tight area. We're going to squeeze it over to try to keep the outsides as open as we can for bikes. But this pedestrian bridge was envisioned with the build grant along with the Highway 59 improvements of that third lane south to be able to handle the bike traffic. You'll have to carry it up and come across and come down, because we couldn't design and build the ramp system that we had. So it's going to be important that we get this for bike safety and getting people. We have a lot of folks that are here that work seasonally, and when they get here, they're used to riding bikes from wherever they came from, and they're going to ride bikes, and we've seen them, and we will see them on the bridge riding bikes over. I know we will, because we always already have. So this whole pedestrian bridge and the village that it's going to create over there with expanding the waterway district, putting more on-street parking. We've got 2 blocks, one south and one north, in the bid for the bridge that includes parking. We're looking at expanding that, potentially another block from 23rd to 22nd, trying to get that designed and looking for some money to be able to do that. So this project is going to be important for a lot of different reasons, but I think it will, as we design and envision a waterway district, you got to have parking. And the parking is a need over there today, and it will continue to be a need. And what we're doing now probably won't be as much as we need, as it stimulates more growth in businesses and more activities over there, which I'm sure will happen, because that's the opportunity that we didn't have, is a district off the beach on a waterfront area with marinas and with opportunities for boating. That's something that the city's never had. It's an amenity that we didn't share because, coastal, for a point in time, was not being wasn't usable for boats. We didn't have boat access, marinas, or anything like that. We've got more on the books, more coming, and a couple already there. So that's kind of a background of the whys this pedestrian bridge is happening, and the opportunities that can use that to create more opportunities within the waterway district for additional activities. So, for what that's worth. I don't know if that created any questions or not, but if it did, I'm ready to try. Yes. Well, you got to come to the microphone. I know I can hear you, but the people at home can't.
You want to hear me, huh? The parking, I heard you said 5, 10 plan, year plan. I understand all that. We all know what you're going to do on that waterway, what you want, the restaurants and the bars and everything. Why don't you go ahead and build a parking deck now instead of waiting? Why we have to play catch up all the time? You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead and build it, and you can actually, like some big cities do, you can actually rent parking places in it during the slow season. People park their cars in it. They have to be operable and all that. But we're going to need a parking facility down there because it's a joke already. And I was just happy you didn't hire the same firm that you hired 59, so nobody can get into the liquor store or Ace Hardware anymore, or the bank anymore. I mean, you must really love those people over there. But, I have a big vehicle, and it just hops them, Please, he can just write me a ticket every week. But, it's just aggravating that somebody with a college degree could put a boulevard in there. I know you're going to say traffic patterns and all that, but, I would hate you if I owned those businesses, okay? Because it is aggravating for me to go to True Value and have to go all the way around the old highway, loop around the bank and come back to go to the store, man. I don't know what engineering you're finding. It's gotta be the same fools that are building the new bridge that this city won't help me fight, but you can get in on my lawsuit if you want to. Okay, because,
But it's the same people. It's out in both places.
you know, they're gonna ruin our town. You know, we got a beautiful town. I've been here a long time, like a lot of you. You know, I grew up here since I was 26 years old, and I'm an old fart now. But we got to make our town pleasurable again. And I'm not complaining about our tourists. I actually love our tourists. We enjoy watching the kids now playing on the beach, walking the sidewalks, all the games. I enjoy the festival. I mean, that's going to get a boo, you know. But I enjoy people enjoying themselves on our island, you know. But we need to make it pleasurable, and we need to get rid of those damn orange cones real quick, because, you know, just decorate our town up again and make our town look like a nice town again instead of a construction zone.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
Tony. Thank you. Scott, you got more?
Yes, sir. I will say to Mr. Sinek and everyone else here, please watch the city website, city social media for the parking study opportunities, or reach out to me and I'll be happy to share that with you. So the next item is agenda item 6B, which is an annexation request. Wait on our map. So this is at 5122 Skiff Lane, as a couple of doors down from the previous annexation request on Skiff Lane. The applicants are Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell. It's lot 22 of the River Pine subdivision. When annexed, it'll come in as R14, medium density, single family residential. Their stated reason for the annexation is, in fact, for their children to continue with the Gulf Shores City School System. The map on your left kind of shows an overview of where it is. The map on the right is a little closer shot. This aerial photo is, I think, from 2024, and you can see there's no structure there back then. This is a very new build structure. The map on your left will show, that's the zoning map. So all the surrounding area is R14, and this would come in as R14. And it is across the street from the city limits, which is considered contiguous for annexation reasons. And the image on the right is a recent picture of the existing single-family structure that's there on the site. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody, any questions or comments? Next.
All right,
Another
this is
annexation?
agenda item 6C, another annexation request. This is at 6009 County Road 6. Applicant is Mr. Parker. This is an existing single-family house, and it will come in as zoned R14, medium-density, single-family residential. Like the previous one, the reason for this one is to keep their children in the Gulf Shores City School System. Your image on the left kind of shows the general vicinity, that Gulfstream Loop down there on the south. That's the entrance to the Gulf Shores RV Resort, so it's just above there. The image on the right is just a little closer shot. It does have existing single-family and accessory structures on site. Dancing Water Lane is immediately adjacent to the River Dance development. Map on your left shows the existing zoning for the area. The River Dance and nearby is R15, which is high density single family. Again, this would come in as R14, medium density residential. The image on the right is a current shot. Kind of hard to see. They're painted green, so it's camouflaged really well with the surrounding landscaping, but it's a single family structure on the side as well. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Council, any questions? Audience, anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you. Andy?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. The only item I have is a tree protection ordinance appeal that is made by Mr. Kevin Walker. The subject property is at 1449 East Fairway Drive. Mr. Walker is appealing the enforcement of the tree protection regulations on this property There's currently a house under construction on the site. The tree protection regulations indicate that any appeal is sent to the city council for review and a determination. History on the case: in January of this past year, January 14th, the city noticed that 3 protected trees were removed from the property. This was prior to any permits being approved on the property. The next day, a stop work order was placed on the piece of equipment that was on the site. Apparently, there was nobody working on the site, so the stop work order was placed on the equipment. The next day, on January 16th, a violation letter was sent to the owner of the property, Mr. Walker. That violation letter was sent certified as well as regular mail. There are times that certified mail does not get delivered for one reason or the other, so we try to send it a couple methods so that the applicant or the owner is aware of a violation. On February 11th, a building permit application was submitted for Mr. Walker to build a single-family house on this lot. February 14th, the violation was uploaded into CitizenServe. CitizenServe is a program that we use to process building permit applications. Then on March 10th, that building permit was issued and Mr. Walker paid a fine upon issuance of the building permit. Here are a few photographs of the tree removal that occurred on the property. So the specifics of the tree removal permit application from Mr. Walker, this basically has 3 parts to the appeal. Appeal number 1, Mr. Walker is appealing the requirement to keep protected trees that are within 10 feet of the proposed house, as shown on the tree protection plan. Appeal number 2, Mr. Walker believes that since construction of the house has begun, that the lot is now developed, therefore allowing a 1-to-1 replacement as opposed to 1 tree being replaced for every 3 inches of diameter at breast height of trees removed for undeveloped lots. And then appeal number 3, Mr. Walker's appealing the $1,500 fine that was paid for the removal of the trees prior to any permits being granted by the city. Appeal number 1, again, the requirement to keep protected trees that are within 10 feet of the proposed house. Our current ordinance allows protected trees within 10 feet of a house to be removed during the building permit process. Basically, this was a misunderstanding between Mr. Walker and his builder. The city arborist worked with his builder several times, beginning with the initial tree survey that was submitted. The initial tree survey did not show that any trees were to be removed or protected. So the city arborist worked with Mr. Walker's builder to come up with a tree protection plan. A couple times during that process, Mr. Walker's builder said that that he would like to preserve some of the protected trees within 10 feet of the house, even though they were allowed to be removed. So the tree protection plan was revised to reflect those comments between the city arborist and Mr. Walker's builder. Once we received Mr. Walker's tree appeal application, it was apparent that he would like the flexibility to remove some of those trees, if not all the trees within the 10 feet. So the city arborist amended that tree protection plan to allow for the removal of any protected trees within 10 feet of the footprint of the house that's being constructed. Appeal number 2. The applicant asserts that the property is now developed, therefore seeks 1-to-1 replacement for the future removal of a protected pine tree. The photograph on the right shows the protected pine tree that Mr. Walker would like to remove in the future. You see it's located in the front of the house. It's an 18-inch pine tree. Under our current regulations, that would require a replanting of 6 trees and or a payment of $1,920 or a combination thereof. Staff, we based on a tree appeal from last year from Mr. Lee, do not believe that this property is developed. So last year, approximately about this time last year, I think you all reviewed another tree permit appeal from Chris Lee. This appeal was to remove 3 protected pine trees at 313 West 23rd Avenue. In that instance, the standards of the tree protection regulations would have required the replacement of those three protected pine trees with 21 trees or the payment of a $6,720 fee or a combination thereof. The city council made a ruling in that instance that Mr. Lee could replace the three protected pine trees on a one-to-one basis. Subsequent to that ruling, the city council amended the tree protection regulations to allow for a similar tree replacement for protected pine trees on developed single-family and duplex lots. So that was specific ordinance 2126. Again, city council or the tree protection regulations, the amended version allow for the removal of protected pine trees on developed single-family and duplex lots on a one-to-one basis. The replacement has to be one tree, which is 3 inches in diameter and 12 feet in height. And we have a recommended species list that's in the ordinance also. Appeal number 3, the applicant's appealing the $1,500 fine that was paid for the removal of the protected trees without a tree removal permit or a building permit. Mr. Walker actually removed 4 protected pine trees without first obtaining proper permits. Of course, we documented the removal of those trees in January 14th and subsequently cited the applicant as required by the ordinance. The tree protection ordinance does not allow the removal of protected trees until a building permit or tree removal permit has first been issued. Section 7-158, enforcement and penalty to the tree removal regulations allows the city to take several actions singularly or in a combination thereof when a violation of the tree protection ordinance happens. So we, in this instance or any other instances, the regulations indicate that a violator shall pay a $1,000 fine and plus 2 times the cost of the permit, which is $500. We also have the option to issue a cease and desist order, a warning citation, or formal citation. Formal citation obviously would require the owner to go to municipal court. Also, typically, or there's also another allowance for the city to require the replacement of any protected trees that are removed. In this instance, the removal of those trees could have required the planting of 14 new trees or a payment of a $6,800 remediation fee or combination thereof. So what we did in this instance, we tried to take into consideration all the facts in hand. Yes, Mr. Walker removed the trees without a permit. But we did receive a building permit not terribly long after those trees were removed. The 3 trees would have fell within the footprint of the house, so we took all that into consideration. So we did not apply the $6,800 fee or the remediation requirement of planting 14 new trees. Also, the 4th tree that was removed was not noticed at the time of inspection, so that was not part of any violation or citation. We have not issued any citations requiring Mr. Walker to appear in municipal court. And just as a reminder, the reason that we would like to review trees prior to building permits or tree removal being issued is the ordinance obviously has standards in the place for protected trees of certain sizes and heritage trees of certain sizes. So we want to try our best to protect and preserve those types of trees within the city of Gulf Shores. There's also allowances built within the regulations that upon review of a permit, especially a building permit, if a heritage tree is located within the footprint of the building, we can modify the front, rear, or side yard setbacks to accommodate any and preserve any protected trees. So with that, staff recommends the following actions on this appeal. Appeal number 1, no actions required because the trees that are within 10 feet of the house may be removed in accordance with the tree protection regulations. The second part of the appeal, appeal number 2, deny the applicant's claim that the lot is developed. This is based on the previous kind of standard that the city council approved for Mr. Lee's appeal last year where the property was developed with a occupied single-family residence. And then the third portion of the appeal, deny the request to reduce the tree removal violation fine. The diagram on the right, just so you all are aware, it shows exactly what is allowed to be removed without remediation at the time of if an applicant submits a building permit. So all the trees within the footprint of the structure can be removed. All the trees outside the footprint of the structure within 10 feet of the foundation can be removed without any remediation. All the trees within a driveway can be removed without remediation. And then 50% of the rear yard area the trees in that area may be removed without any remediation. And this is for new single-family or duplex houses. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Where are the trees in question here? Where are they on this map?
So the trees that were removed initially fell within the footprint of the house. I don't know specifically where, but they fell within the footprint of the house.
Well, those aren't part of the problem if they were in the footprint of the house.
So what happened is they were removed prior to Mr. Walker submitting for a building permit. So that's why the violation was issued. But we did take it in, as part of the enforcement, we took into consideration where those trees did fall within the building footprints. Once we received the building permit, we did not charge any fees or require any tree remediation. We just issued a fine. Does that make sense?
This is going to come before the council for us to consider and vote on.
Yes, sir. Next week.
Next week.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to need to know more. So you're saying you're denying the applicant's claim that the lot is developed. There was a picture back there where it showed the one pine tree he wants to cut down. There's a building behind it. Is that the home?
It's under construction. Yes, sir.
Well, how do you figure that not developed?
It's just not, we're going to finish this. You'll get your time to talk. You'll get all you need. We're not going to restrict you, but let us ask some questions and get our stuff while he's there.
So we're basing that determination off of last year's appeal request from Mr. Chris Lee. Last year, there was not basically any allowance or any differentiation between removal of protected pine trees on existing developed single-family lots. In that instance, the property was developed and occupied as a single-family residence. Someone lived there. The city council made a decision because of that fact that the tree remediation requires one replacement tree for the removal of one pine tree. So we are going along with that kind of standard that was adopted by the city council on that appeal and then adopted into the tree protection regulations.
So we, on next Monday night, will have the opportunity for us to determine whether we consider that to be a developed lot.
Yes, sir.
Right? And then
Yes,
that
sir.
would change the.
That would change the type of tree remediation required.
The remediation, not his ability to take it down,
Right.
but the remediation.
Yeah. For today, if you want to take down that protected pine tree and it's
Right, one more.
is considered an undeveloped lot, it would require the replacement with 6 trees and a $1,900 or a $1,900 fee. If it's ruled that it's a developed lot, he could take down the pine tree and replace it with one
Somewhere on the.
one other tree. Yes, sir.
I've asked a lot of questions. Council, anybody else have a question?
Yeah, you know, we've talked about this before when Mr. Lee was here and all. And I'm 100% on protecting our trees. But some of this stuff is just wrong in here. It's just these fines and making people, like Mr. Lee was gonna have to plant, what, 21 more trees at first? To take
I'd have to
down
go back and look at the,
Yeah, I remember
that's
that.
right, but I have to
mean,
go back and
How
look.
ludicrous is that? That's, we're just getting ourselves in trouble. We need to revamp the tree protection ordinance, number one. And, so, I mean, there's things we need to look at that, and that's why we're running into these problems. So I think we need to, that's something that we were supposed to have done it. Lee, we had talked about that?
We are currently in the process of reviewing the tree protection regulations to make updates to them.
And then to
That will
charge
occur before the end of the
somebody
year.
That astronomical amount of money, I don't agree with. You know, that's just me. I agree we need to protect our trees, but, I mean, we gotta build some common sense into this somewhere. And and sometimes I think we're missing some of that. That's all, but we'll discuss it, we can discuss it more and.
Mr. Walker, I assume that's you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Got a little excited there.
No, you're okay.
Andy, I appreciate you not beating me up too bad there. Full disclosure, I absolutely went in there and I removed trees a little early. It's me and my wife are building our kind of dream home. We just sold our home. We're actually right there off of East Canal, right there off East Canal and 3rd Street. We're excited to kind of see the pedestrian bridge get done and all this stuff, but we sold our house and we're building our dream home. And unfortunately, what happened is the day I signed, or maybe a couple of days after they signed the contract to purchase that lot, I said, you know what? I need a tree permit. Not a tree permit. I need to get a tree survey completed and make sure there's no heritage trees that are in the middle or anywhere else that are going to impact my building. And unfortunately, my plan was to get my architectural, my engineering, have my tree survey done, all of that. We close, bam, I submit to you, and we could get started. And that was my idea, just to get, because we're renting, you know, this is obviously a very costly operation for us. I definitely started early, took down those trees, should have made sure that the permit had been completed. We had already seen the tree survey, so we knew those were inside of the footprint of the home. Our intention was not to go take over and mow down like the tree we're talking about right now that we're talking about remediating. We would never have done any of that. I jumped the gun on it. I apologize. I just think the $1,500 $25, and I didn't know about it till I went to go pay my permits. It's just a shocker. Me and Andy were actually chatting about this earlier. I have no doubt y'all sent the letters. I have not. I didn't see it, so it was a complete surprise.
Be here next Monday, and we'll be talking about it with the council where we can listen to you and then take action. We can't do that tonight.
Yes, sir.
We understand your complaints and your issues, and
Yes, sir.
but next Monday we'll have this conversation again, and the council will then be able to decide what we determine and we believe are related to this, what the right
Yes, sir.
action is. So.
And I just want to throw out one other thing. It said on the first one there was a misunderstanding between my builder and myself. There was no misunderstanding. I don't want to remove those trees. The issue is I have to supply my house with utilities. And in order to do that, the trees aren't necessarily in the way, but if I do 5-foot silk fencing around it, they are in the way. We have to dig in utilities to get to the house. So if we say, hey, we're going to preserve these trees and we have to do a 5-foot radius of silt fencing, it's an issue because I can't get utilities to my house. That's the first one. The second one here is the only thing that, please correct me if I'm wrong, Andy. It said in the amendment from Chris Lee, it said the big disputed word was developed. It did not say owner occupied, it said developed, correct?
I believe it says developed, yes, sir.
Yeah. Developed, the only thing I can find says developed lot. There's no definition in the city's ordinance for developed lot. There's only developed site. And it says something that has been approved for construction. It has similar verbiage that I can't recall it off my top of my head, but just want to throw that out for consideration as well.
Again, we'll talk about it next Monday.
Yes, sir.
There may be some other comments about this in the audience. If so, yes, sir. Were you through, Mr. Walker?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question. If I have a pine tree in my house that I'm living in, I can't cut that down?
If you have a protected pine tree.
Protected pine tree.
Yes, sir.
Pine tree is protected.
You can't cut it down unless you remediate with the 1-to-1 basis.
All right. Now, where would I know this? I mean, I'm just hearing this now. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, I feel bad for anybody else that.
Well, that's one of the things some people don't know about the ordinance.
Right.
So it's.
So every time we've adopted amendments to the tree protection regulations, they've been in place for a number of years now, but we have tried our best to inform the citizenry as well as any of the business owners that do cut down trees for a living. I know when we made the it's probably 4 years ago, when we made a major amendment to it. We tried to highly publicize that with our citizens. We sent emails to all of the tree contractors that had a business license in Gulf Shores. So we tried our best, honestly, to inform the public of what occurred. But I think there's still some people out there that don't realize that we have tree protection regulations, but it's something we try to overcome every day.
No, I knew that we have, specialized trees that are protected.
Didn't realize that
I didn't think a pine tree.
A pine tree of a certain size was a protected tree. Okay.
Sure. My suggestion would be maybe, I don't know, I mean, just to, make it, more noticeable or something about that, or maybe a letter sent to homeowners or something saying, we have this tree thing. Just a suggestion.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Andy, I know we ran into, you and I had a problem over, I guess,
We're talking up here. Can you hear that? Just
East Fairway last year, where the driveway, the pine tree had pushed the driveway up. But the other thing was hidden in that, it was a gas line that the roots was pushing up. So when we redo this ordinance, like Mr. Walker's saying, he's got run lines downside his house, we need to look at that as we redo the ordinance to make sure, again, you got to get a plan and a survey and all that done to make sure that these roots are not going to get into the driveway, the tree's far enough away where it doesn't push the driveway up to cause somebody problems later on. But also, if there's going to be a gas line run, where that root don't push that up too and create a problem busting the pipe at some point in time as it goes into older times and stuff.
Yes, sir. We'll take a look at that also.
Take a look at that along with, because he's mentioned that, and I think that's a very important thing.
It does occur on every now and then that occurs on existing houses where
He
a
kind of
tree roots
answered.
grow into
He kind of
utilities.
answered my other question. What is a definition of a developed piece of property? Do we have a definition?
So the tree protection regulations in the Code of Ordinances, there is no definition in the Code of Ordinances. There is a definition in the zoning ordinance, which Mr. Walker referred to, which is, different
Well,
book
no, but
into itself. So
somewhere in the ordinances and in our book, it should be a definition of what is a developed piece of property. Doesn't matter whether it's in the tree or building a house. It should be a definition. We spend a lot of time rewriting ordinances and stuff. We ought to have a definition for that. And I don't know that we have one. That's the reason I'm asking the question.
I can get you 100% answer on that.
Tony D.
Just real simple, like, I live on 30 acres, and I don't think I could possibly afford to cut down a tree according to y'all's opinions. But when you saw the picture of the pine tree, I know the city has arborists, right? Trees, especially pine trees, grow and grows in groups. And when you isolate a tree like that tree's isolated, with the hurricanes we have down here, they become a detriment, If you studied on my land, when they put in all the new roads and everything, they cut down pines. And we had those storms. I lost my primary trees, which were pines, which were up high. And my secondary trees, like the cedars and the dogwoods, and all my smaller trees, caught it because we lost that top protection from the wind. But when you leave a pine tree, it's ugly, okay? Make the man put up a beautiful oak trees or something, but that pine tree is going to be a danger to his house in a few years. That's all I'm suggesting.
I agree too. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Grant?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Terrence, would you launch our presentation? We have before you to vote on next Monday a public assembly permit application for the 4th annual Coastal Alabama Food Truck and Craft Beer Festival, scheduled to take place on Saturday, November 8th and Sunday, November 9th, 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. each day at Golf Place at the Town Green location. Applicants' anticipated attendance is a couple thousand to 3,000 people per day. Again, this is the 4th annual. For the previous 3 years, they've had a good turnout for this event in early November. Just a couple of shots from last year's event. You can kind of see what they are putting out there on their festival site. This is their rendering of their site map plan. So you can see where on the left is the main entrance into this town green area. They sell tickets for beer sales. The Coastal Alabama Business Chamber and Gulf Distributing are actually handling the beverage sponsorship. They will have a disc jockey DJ playing music on the town green shade sail, and they'll place the food trucks around the sidewalk area at the town green. Security IDs will be checked for wristbands by the Food Truck Festivals of America. Representatives from Gulf Distributing with their servers will use the, be responsible for the responsible vending. Food Truck Festival will be required to and will have security and police officers on site at presence. They will have communication devices in case of weather. The beer will be served under a 20 by 30 tent in the center of the event. We did have all the department heads sign off on this application, and it is recommended for approval. The fire marshal, however, will be sure that the Department of Public Health permit is issued for each of the food trucks that are presented. They will have to have a propane inspection by the Alabama Gas Board, which has also occurred in previous years. And then each of the tents and structures that are on site will have to have flame retardant and be certified. All the certificates of insurance have been received, and this application is ready for your consideration next Monday with the recommendation to approve.
Thank you, Grant.
It's a good event.
Any questions, anybody? Last on the agenda, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. We at the city have received a request from the Alabama Business Chamber to provide $25,000 for the operation of programs and existing operations at the chamber. Mr. Greg Alexander is here to speak to this request, and just wanted to point out that they have also requested the same from the city of Orange Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Greg Alexander, Coastal Alabama Business Chamber. I know I'm standing between supper and getting you guys out of here, so it won't take but a second. To follow up with what Mr. Walker said, in the last couple of years, the Chamber has really grown and enhanced our programs and services. We currently have 19, sometimes hard to believe, 19 that are very active. Yes, they support our business membership, but what's really important here is we have worked hard to increase our community support, not necessarily having to be chamber members to take advantage of these because they follow educational and business type support. Just quickly, some of those programs that I hope you all have seen and participated in, Cake Day for our elementary school entrepreneurs, 100 elementary students from the Gulf Shores area, also from Orange Beach and the area that we support, participated in this entrepreneurial program, and big success. Just learning everything from how to create a business plan to how to operate, come up with marketing and all those wonderful things. One wanted to know with any of his proceeds, could he invest in the stock market? And he's an elementary student. So I tell you what, we have some sharp children here. Also, we also have our junior leadership program that is several years old, and we generally have about 30 to 35 students from Gulf Shores High School as well as the Orange Beach School High School that participate in this program, and some homeschool children, and they learn a lot about their community and why it'd be great to come back here, stay here, live and work as well. Call our adult leadership program. Again, that is another one that's open to anyone in our community as well. And then, of course, this year will be the 52nd annual National Shrimp Festival that falls under the Chamber's umbrella, with lots and lots of volunteer leadership. So these, along with some other community support programs, events that we bring the business community together with the city on topics such as the Vision 2035 to bring the business voice for that has been being worked on, and working with Jesse and his team for the first flight at Gulf Shores International Airport, putting that day together. So again, we are growing and we are offering more programs, and we come to you with this one-time request.
And I did mean to mention that this is a one-time funding request. It's not an ongoing request. It was presented to the Finance Committee in May, and the Finance Committee does recommend approval.
That'll be on the agenda Monday night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's the last thing on the agenda. I know Dr. Aiken is here. Have you got any reports for us? Yeah, okay. You look like you got a tan. Brandon?
Yes, sir. I just want to remind everyone in the community that Wednesday from 10 to 2 o'clock at the Civic Center, we will hold our annual Hurricane Expo. Got about 20, 21 vendors that will be there to help everyone get ready for the upcoming hurricane season. I want to wish everyone, or want to invite everyone to come out. So it'll be a good time.
This Wednesday, what time?
This Wednesday from 10 to 2
10 to 2.
at the Civic Center.
See if there's any questions or comments. Just a minute, I want to make one announcement. Thursday night, 6 o'clock at our
Cultural Center.
Cultural Center, I'm sorry. At our Cultural Center, we're going to be having a conversation from the community about a application for the Sand in My Boots Festival to continue on. This was the last year. We had a 10-year commitment to them that we had to stick to. This was the last year. I think we pretty much concluded generally. We hadn't voted on it. We just generally, at least I had concluded, it was played out. It was time to move on. This year's festival has created a lot of different dynamic, and the dynamic is that we got a poll that we'll be presenting tomorrow, or Thursday night at this event, and we're going to try to get community feedback as to whether this is an event that the community would like to see us continue, or is it over? We need input. They presented a whole different audience this last festival. Quite a bit of a difference in our community. Different people in the venue, different music. Looks to me like it is better situated for us than it's been in a long time. But that's not a decision that we're going to make up here by ourselves. So please join us on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. It's on County Road 6. So with that, is there anybody here that'd like to? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Michael. I've been a resident here about 13 years. I would ask respectfully if the council would take a look at City Ordinance 15-1, has to do with noise, and compare that perhaps with what Orange Beach is doing. Reason I'm asking, I reside over on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Ours is a very small ordinance. It's based upon reasonableness. Inside my house, 6:30 in the morning, Sunday, 11 o'clock at night, I can hear stuff through the walls. I could sing to it. I mean, it's that clear coming through. That's the doors are closed. So Gulf Shores, it's reasonableness. I don't know if that's reasonable to you folks. It's not all that reasonable to me. Orange Beach, they use decibel meters, they use distances, they got times of days, specific applications if there's a special event like Boots in the Sand, where it's being accommodated. But this goes on pretty much regularly now. I can hear from the hangout in the front. I can hear from Ice House Tap Room in the back. Depends on the day. Sometimes I can hear both. Sit there inside and turn up the volume of the TV from 8 to 16 just to overcome so I don't have to hear that at the same time. So if someone could take a look at it and see, I think Orange Beach is a similar kind of economy that we have, similar kind of issues. Whether we could maybe look at something that's a little bit more actionable. I talked to Justin. He said it's kind of a vague ordinance. Sent me to the police, called the police, waited outside, nobody showed, watched the decibel meter, nothing changed. So I'm assuming it doesn't get enforced all that regularly. So if there's something that we could make more actionable, where the police could go, man, this is just too loud. Don't have to wait for a citizen to take some kind of action. And likewise, the various venues know they can check and go, ooh, tone it down a bit because we're going out too far. 0.3 of a mile, 0.4 of a mile from these venues, it comes across plain as day.
You said one was the Hangout, and what was the other one?
Ice House Tap Room.
The
Over
Ice
there by
House, okay,
Oyster
on,
House.
on.
Yeah, they'll have outdoor music and, if I was outside, I understand, but I can't get away from it. Go inside, close the doors, it's still there. So,
If there's a better way to do that, and that sounds like a better way to do that, our guys are just basically on reasonableness. They'd love to have some gauge to be able to say, I don't have to wonder. It says, if that is working,
signs $15,
then
and it's nothing.
we've looked at that before, and the reliability of those things.
Oh, I get it. They certifies that, they got two. I went over and talked to Orange Beach,
Yeah.
talked to the sergeant over there, said, how's this ordinance working for you? We talked about the hangout, and he said, I went once, I never went back. It's too loud. I went inside the hangout, it's 95 decibels. That's over 1,000 times the normal conversation. It's really loud, but people are free to leave there if they want. I can't leave the house. It still comes at me. So if there's something that would be actionable, reasonable times of the day, reasonable distances, they use 40 feet, maybe it's something, I know Shaw wanted, 4 city blocks and Delmore wanted 2 city blocks, but we never came to anything. So it's just reasonable. Your reasonable is different from my reasonable, different from Andy's reasonable. So it just, decimal meters and measuring sticks it's a mood issue. Get it certified. They have 2 units. They certify them twice a year.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
did you say you're on Fifth Avenue? They're
Fifth
on
Avenue.
Stanton Creek or one of the canals?
Yep, it backs up on one of the canals. It's, a couple 100 feet off of 59, Papa Rocco's. I don't hear it.
Thank you.
It's inside. Mud bugs people complain about, I don't hear. But when you have an outside venue, it's a tendency to crank it up. In Orange Beach, there's somebody responsible at that venue that knows the ordinance. That's who they want to go see.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this. Thank you very much for bringing it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anything? Thanks for being here tonight, and sincerely hope you will consider coming back Thursday to the Cultural Center up on County Road 6 and help us make good decisions going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, tell your friends about that too, because we want to try and get as many people as we can up there.